Hi, and welcome to TEEP's Introduction to CAD, Computer-Aided Design. Now, many 3D design tools such as Tinkercad or more artistic ones like Blender start off with a 3D object and then allow you to sculpt it. But with more engineering-focused CADs like Onshape, which we'll be using, or SolidWorks or AutoCAD, which are popular in industry, you start from a 2D object to then create a 3D one. And today I want to talk about the concepts and the tools we're going to be using in Onshape that will be able to achieve that. So the first one's called an extrude. Now when I think of extrude, I think about those little Play-Doh toys that when you push down on the Play-Doh, it shoots out crazy hairs or specific shapes. The idea there, it's called extrude because you're choosing to hold this 2D shape. In my case right now is going to be a sticky note, and then you're extruding it. You're moving it along a line. I'll use this wire for right now to create a 3D one. Now the way that works, if you're familiar with calculus, it's like creating a volume over an integral. You take a bunch of small, thin slices to create one larger 3D shape. So you can imagine in CAD, you're gonna pick your line, or your distance you want to extrude, and your 2D shape, and you'll move it along to create your 3D object. And now we can do this with any shape, any 2D shape we like. So if you want to make a cylinder, you start off with a circle. And same idea, you have your distance and you're sliding it along. But that's not the only way you can make a cylinder in CAD. Because cylinders are symmetrical 360 degrees around, you can think about them almost like rotating an object instead of extruding it. And that is what's called a revolve. And it's interesting, to make a cylinder with a revolve, you're actually going to use a rectangle. And so a revolve, instead of adding in a line, you're adding things in a circle. So you pick the axis you want to rotate around. In this case, it's just going to be the edge of our rectangle, and then spin it 360 degrees around, which will create a cylinder. But you can do a lot with a revolve. So you don't even have to go a full 360 degrees. You can do 180, you can imagine a half cylinder. And what I love about a revolve is it reminds me of being a potter at a potter's wheel. You're determining the outer shape as well as the inner shape. So for example, if I wanted to make a mug, right, something that has symmetrical 360 degrees around, but has this huge cavity in it, you can revolve this weird L shape. But if you can imagine adding this all the way 360 degrees around, you'll create this vessel for the mug. But let's say if we wanted to CAD this mug, well, how would we do the handle? There's something called a sweep. And a sweep is like an extrude where you have a 2D object on a line, but this line can be of any shape you want. So if I wanted this handle to perfectly fit my hand, well, I take my line and create it in a way that I'd want to hold the mug. But then it's the same idea, then you're still taking that 2D shape and extruding it along that line, or now sweeping it to make your shape. So it's interesting because with a sweep, we don't actually really need extrudes or revolves, because what is an extrude but a sweep along a straight line? Or what's a revolve but a sweep along a circle? But extrudes and revolves are so common and popular that they're great tools to have on their own and make it much easier and quicker to build shapes. And so once you've built a basic shape and structure in Onshape, then you get these modeling features. So for example, you can take a hard edge and give it that very popular apple roundedness, which is called a bevel. Or you can take an edge and actually make a cut into it with a harder line, which is called a chamfer. One of the simplest tools we use is a hole. We've built something up, well, how can we take material away? Well, a hole works just like an extrude, but instead of adding material, we're removing it. So if you're drilling holes in something, you're really doing an extrude with a circle into a material to remove it. And lastly, if I wanted to make a clock per se, I don't want to have to draw every single line around the face. So you can create one and do a circular pattern all the way around. And you can imagine the same thing if I wanted to line up dominoes. I can create a pattern in a line. Those tools we're going to go into more depth In the upcoming videos, we're going to go into the interface. But for today, I wanted to go over the concepts in the physical world that match what's going on in CAD.